To the official day number one of the 2017 PBR Global Cup. Big thank you, first of all, to our partners here at Oilers Entertainment Group, represented today. I know we saw earlier the Vice Chair and CEO of OEG, Bob Nicholson, joining us here this morning. Huge thank you to those folks for once again rolling out the red carpet for us on a very historic event, an Olympic-type format. But I'll let our CEO of the Professional Bull Riders dive more into that. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, Mr. Sean Gleason.
Thank you, Matt. Very excited to be here in Edmonton for the inaugural PBR Global Cup. When we were approached by OEG and the city of Edmonton to potentially bring an event here to Rogers Place after issues fell apart with the CFR and the CPRA, we were honored to be asked to consider it. And we worked really hard to create an event format that we have actually been working on for a number of years, but really refine that event format and ensure that Rogers Place and Edmonton were the home of PBR's biggest product launch since we launched our company. That is the PBR Global Cup. It's an international team-based competition that pits the best bull riders in the world against one another, but in a team format where they are representing their countries. We have all the top bull riders from Australia, Brazil, Canada, Mexico, and the United States here in attendance. They'll be riding for a $1 million prize purse. The winning team will split $400,000. And riders will be competing both in the rounds as well as in the aggregate for additional prize money, including $50,000 to the aggregate winner. We got off to a great start last night with the PBR Canada finals, our Monster Energy finals last night, and the qualifier to determine the teams today. You're going to meet our coaches here in a few minutes, but we're very excited about our future here in Edmonton. We're very hopeful that the city of Edmonton can not only continue to host the CFR, but also continue to host PBR in one of our major events here in the city. It makes it a very unique opportunity for the city of Edmonton. There are very few cities that have the opportunity to host both a major PBR event and a major rodeo event at the same time, and Edmonton has that opportunity in front of us. So we're very hopeful that the future is bright for both PBR and rodeo here in the city of Edmonton. Thank you for having us.
Well, as Sean mentioned, it is a very unique format and opportunity for our athletes in the bull riding world to compete in a team format, but we all know that a team is only a team, and they are definitely led by some of the greatest coaches in the world. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce the team coaches, and I'll begin with the coach from Team Brazil. He is a three-time PBR World Finals champion, Robson Palermo. Move to Team USA, a two-time PBR World Champion, Justin McBride. Team Mexico will be led by the 1997 PBR World Champion, Mr. Michael Gaffney. Team Australia has a three-time PBR World Champion, Adriano Marias. And defending the home turf and the home soil is a three-time Canadian champion, Aaron Roy. And I'll just start here with Team Brazil, Robson Palermo, a guy that has definitely stepped up when the big moments arose. Three times a PBR World Finals champion, coming into the very first PBR Global Cup. You have two of the top 5 finishers in last year's world title race. Do you put added pressure on yourself knowing that so many of your guys finished so close to a world title? You have to be one of the odds-on favorites. Is there extra pressure coming into this event?
First thing, good morning, everybody, and I'm so happy to come over here and do this. First time, I never did. I've been in the cup couple times on Adriano, he's the coach, and now I was the coach, and I'm so glad and work with those guys, with those Brazilian guys. But come over here do this, he's not pressure at all. Those guys he's coming from the final, he's all feel good and ride good there. Some he did, some he's gonna need to step up here a little bit. I've been talking to those some of those did ride good in finals, and he got a pretty good bull too. I think those bulls gonna fit really good and make his mind go step up a little bit more for the next day. But no pressure at all, and I'm ready for do this, and I think those guys are ready too.
And to turn it over now to Justin McBride, coach for Team USA. Robson spoke a little bit about just coming off the World Finals and coming off that World title run. Team USA has dealt with some injuries, some guys that aren't here. You've assembled a team. Talk to us a little bit about the team and the athletes that will make up Team USA.
Yeah, it's a tough part of the year for bull riders. I mean, you got guys just coming off the World Finals, and you got guys on their way to the national finals, guys at the Canadian finals, so they're pretty spread out and pretty banged up right now, a lot of them. And so we had some guys that couldn't come, and I hope they heal up quick. But we brought 7 guys that are ready to compete and ready to ride. And I'm thrilled to death to have the 7 that we have. They're great young guys, and they're excited to be here. And I think that's the main thing, is that they're ready to come and compete. So. You know, I can't wait to watch them.
Let me ask you, 7 guys. You spoke of 7. All the other teams will be competing with at least 8. They will have an alternate. You guys don't have that luxury. So does that weigh into bull matchups? Does it weigh into anything in the competition?
No, I don't think so, unless somebody gets hurt. Then it'll weigh in. But at this point, we don't plan on using one. If we do have to use one, somebody will just double up. You know, we wanted to bring a set of guys that could come and compete, and when we got to that 7, we felt like that was the number we were going to cut it off at, and you know, we want to do our country proud.
Michael Gaffney, the coach of Team Mexico, 1997 PBR World Champion. Gaffney, you're going to you've just met most of your team for the very first time. Does that play into anything? What is that like, meeting your team for the first time here at the event?
Well, I think to be here, number one, sitting beside these guys is a real honor and a privilege, and the same from coming from them and be asked to coach them, because we don't know each other at all. But you know, they're inspiring bull riders, and they want to be great like all of us wanted to be. So it's exciting, and it is a little bit. I hate to say it, a disadvantage, because I don't know them personally. Mm-hmm. I spoke to the elder statesman, Francisco Morales, mm-hmm. and he speaks better English than I do.
Right.
And another one, Edgar Durazo, and he apparently was rodeoing with a kid right out of New Mexico, Scotty Knapp. So got some great experience in those 2 guys. And the other handful, again, I don't know, Matt, but I'm just excited to be here and excited to get to know these guys.
How's that going to be, the language barrier? Because I know a number of your team speak 0 English. It's gonna have to play a little bit of a factor over the next couple of days.
I think it will, maybe a little bit, but I think because you've got guys that speak such good English, like Edgar and Francisco, that it's not going to be a barrier for us. And even though I grew up in New Mexico, I don't speak fluent Spanish. I know a lot of it. Of course, they speak really, really fast. But I'm usually talking about construction and that type of thing down where I live, as opposed to, you know, reaching up over a bull or get a hold with your feet or these types of things. So, but again, I don't think it's a barrier, Matt. I think it'll be something that we can get past really easy, and it'll just be fun for us.
Speaking of talking bull riding, the gentleman to your left, Adriano Moraes, has 3 gold buckles, a 3-time PBR World Champion, now leading Team Australia. What kind of knowledge will you be able to bring to Team Australia? How will you help them? The biggest question that everybody keeps asking is, what is the role of a coach? Well, what do you foresee yourself doing with Team Australia for the next 2 days?
You know, having a team that young, my guys are very young. And what can I bring to the team? I believe is my experience, my mental game. You know, because the riding, even though they're good, everybody can be improved. So I know that I can help them with their riding, but that takes time. We cannot do that in a couple of days. And if I try to, I may make it worse. You know, so what am I bringing to the table is my experience, my mental game, the way I approach the business, and the most important thing is how to be a team, because a bunch of good players don't necessarily make a good team. And that's what I'm trying to make out of those bunch of guys, is a team, strength in numbers. And I believe that's what the Australians lack all the time, you know, since PBR got together. I feel like they are good, but they're lone wolves, and I'm trying to make a pack out of them. Just like when you're watching a regular event, BFTS, you see that we got different groups of American guys, 4 or 5 here, 4 or 5 there, different packs. And the Brazil is all one big pack. So I really believe in the strength in numbers, to help each other mentally, not physically, not riding ability, but at least mentally, support each other. And that's what I want to pass to Australia. And I think that's going to be my biggest thing for them.
Definitely something that your countrymen have been so solid in doing, that camaraderie, that unity. The gentleman to your left is going to have to produce and provide a united front to defend the home soil here in front of the home country of Canada. Going to have a little bit of an extra home field advantage with the 14 selections coming into this event. Aaron, you've been in some of the biggest events in the world, and now you have 14 guys. How important is it for you guys to defend that home field advantage and to defend here the very first Global Cup?
It's extremely important. All the riders I have riding here are extremely happy to be on the team, excited. It's all they've been talking about for the last month is this event. And for us to defend home turf, it's going to be a little easier than these guys. These guys have to be perfect. We got a little leeway, and we got guys that have known majority of these bulls all year. They've seen them, been on them, so it's kind of easy for me picking bulls. They get to pick which ones they will like to get on, and just let them do their job, and it'll all work itself out.
Anything else from anybody?
Our fans aren't really familiar with the role of a coach. You talked a little bit about the mental aspect. Can you talk a little bit more, anyone jump in, about what the role of a coach is? What are your main responsibilities?
Yeah, let me come down to Justin McBride, because Justin, I know that you have looked at a number of different options. Part of the process is going to be selecting what guys will advance into those bonus rounds, what matchups you'll see. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of different scenarios, and I know looking at it from a rider's standpoint, they were things that I didn't want to think about. I didn't want to waste my time worrying about them. They didn't concern me. And I like a rider that approaches it that way. I like guys that say, what bull do I get on? Because I've looked at the bulls. I know the guys. I watch them every time they ride, and I've watched the bulls countless times, and the ones I don't know, as Aaron was talking about, we've seen video of them. That's the good thing about the Canadian bulls. There's a ton of video on them you can watch. It's available, and so I like to just be able to tell them what bull, and they don't have to worry about, oh, can I ride that bull, or this, does he fit me, or this or that, because they know that one of us has seen something in that matchup that should give them a lot of confidence that they can ride them. So I think there's that aspect of it. If they need a little help here or there, and being able to support them, they don't need to worry about re-rides. They don't need to worry about messing with the judges or worrying about scores or anything like that. I think that falls on a coach to handle all of that stuff.
You touched on the bulls. Ted Stove and Everything Cowboy.com does a tremendous job of getting statistics, videos available for all of our coaches, for all of us as PBR fans to watch. I want to go to Michael Gaffney again, because Gaffney, we talked about the different roles of a coach, and I think each team will be different. You're a guy that's looked at as one of the most technically correct bull riders we've ever seen. I want to ask you, in round one, do you look at some of your team and try to help correct any of those fundamentals?
Well, I think Adriano hit on a little bit earlier, Matt, and you're talking about such a limited time here, and again, this is such an individualistic sport. You're relying. I mean, you don't, even though you have a cohesiveness as a team, as far as when you nod your head, it's you. Right, and so I think you hopefully these guys step up and use their strengths, and maybe I can pick out some weaknesses over the next couple of nights. But again, it's such a limited time, and by all means, if they've got a question or they've got a concern of their riding, hopefully we as the elder statesmen, we can kind of pick that out and point that out to them. But I think it's, just come and like Max said, let them do their thing, and we'll worry about all this other stuff, like, maybe picking the bulls that we think may fit them, the re-rides, all these types of other things that we can do for them, and let them nod their head.
I want to come back to Robson quickly because we talk about the different roles as a coach. You're a guy that still shares the locker room with a lot of the athletes on your team. You're still actively competing as of just 2 weeks ago in a locker room with a lot of those guys. Do you approach your weekend a little different because you are so much more closely related to those guys? McBride, Gaffney, Adriano retired. They've all received their Ring of Honor. They have all taken different paths to continue this sport. But you're still in that locker room. Does that change the way that you approach the way you lead your team?
Yeah, I think so because I see those guys every week, day to day, and I know the guys won. Like my team, those Brazilian guys, I know this exactly who I want to put in. Like João, Ricardo, and Kaique Pacheco, Guilherme Martin. And all these guys, I know exactly the bull I was going to put him and the way he tanked too. And like I was talking the other day, I say, you guys don't need to be pressuring there. Let me take everything. And you guys just go have fun and ride bull.
I want to go down to Adriano because obviously one of the most recognizable figures in our sport, a three-time PBR world champion. There has to be a little bit of, and I can say this, Team Australia, they've got to be a little bit of starstruck because they do have a guy that is going to go down as one of the greatest of all time on their team. How do you handle that? Do you just jump in and become one of the guys? Do you approach this as a coach? How do you foresee that happening?
We have our biggest barrier is our language. You know, my English, as you see, is very poor, but and their English is a little different. I don't speak Australian, they don't speak Brazilian. Okay, let's put that way. And but we spent a lot of time together, like we were together all day yesterday, all day before yesterday, trying to incorporate myself into that group. It is a cultural barrier. You know, their jokes, I don't get their jokes.
Right.
They don't get my jokes. But in order to create a team, we have to be one, you know, and that's what I'm trying to do. And that's going to be our biggest barrier, but I think we are already past that.
I want to go to Aaron finally because everybody keeps talking about the home field advantage and about how Team Canada has 14 opportunities in each performance to gain a lead and to defend that home soil. All of the coaching tactics that we've talked about here this morning, those 14 opportunities could become a role reversal and could quite possibly be a barrier. Do you foresee that being a problem with the matchups? You now have 14 guys and 14 bulls to look at instead of 7 guys to choose from, 8 guys to choose from, and 8 bulls. Do you foresee that being a problem at all?
I don't see it being a problem. Last night when we picked the bulls after the event, I sat down, I gave the guys a list. I said, you guys go through them, talk about them. And then once they were done, we went through and we went bull by bull, and it wasn't an argument. One guy just said, I'll take that one, I'll take that one. They matched themselves up with it. They're excited, and I think it's going to be, we matched up, and we need 7 scores. That's all we need. So they matched up and tried to pick ones that they know they're going to stay on, and that's all we're going for, is 7 scores.
I want to come back down to Robson. Last question real quick, and we'll pass this all the way down the line. Same question for all 5 coaches. What are you looking forward to the most this weekend?
First place.
To win.
But no, I want my guys to ride all this bull and not trouble at all and not get frustration some stuff and ride good and win too.
Win and positivity. Justin?
I think the biggest thing that I want the 7 guys from the U.S. to take away from this and get out of all this is that this is a really unique opportunity for them. This is something that they don't get to do. This is a chance for each of the riders from all the countries to represent their country as a bull rider. And that's something pretty special. You don't get to do that ever in bull riding. And bull riding, as G-Man touched on, it's an individual sport. But for the next 2 days, these guys get to be part of something bigger than that. They get to be a part of a team, and they get to represent their country. So I want them to really, really dig into that and really believe in that and enjoy that process.
Michael?
I think a lot what Justin said is dead on. I mean, this is kind of our own Olympics, and it gives a chance for all the guys from each country to come together and have that cohesiveness. But I think what's really good for Team Mexico as individuals is to come up here and get, because we don't see a lot of the Mexicans come up from Mexico and be at the World Finals and be on that big stage, is to get the exposure that they're going to get here. I think it's good for them. It'll be good for their game. It'll be good for people to get to know them. So all that, I think, it kind of that whole gamut is good for Team Mexico.
This event is definitely a game changer for Team Mexico if
Absolutely.
they can capitalize on it.
Absolutely.
Adriano?
What I want is that the whole road to know how strong the Australians are, that they can be a force to reckon with, that it is guys there with the world championship capability, and they will get there. They just need to believe in themselves, and that's what's going to happen. I guarantee you, by Saturday, tomorrow, when the event's over, everybody will say, man, the Australians are good, and that's all we're going to show.
Well said. Aaron?
Mine's pretty much just like Justin. I was at the prior World Cups as a rider, all those, and not one of the guys I have on Team Canada has ever been in an event like this. Some been to the World Finals, but they've never been to an event like this, so it's just taking it all in. They have their own little groups in Canada where they travel together, cheer for each other, but they never come together like they have here. And even just a check-in this morning, they're all behind each other, already pumping themselves up for tonight. So that's kind of what I'm going to do. It's a team thing. You cheer for everybody, you help everybody on, and that's what I want them to go away with, is just being that team member.
Anything else? Well, as Sean said, it's a huge opportunity for the city of Edmonton. It is a huge opportunity, as these guys alluded to, for all of our athletes, and I truly believe this is a huge opportunity for the sport of professional bull riding. Looking forward to a tremendous event here this weekend. Rogers Place, an Olympic-style format. Who will win? Will Canada be able to defend the home soil? We'll find out in just a matter of hours as we present the 2017 PBR Global Cup right here at Rogers Place in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Enjoy the weekend, everybody.